Story 1. The Grim Case of Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman. Richard Kuklinski, infamously known as the Iceman, was one of America's most prolific and ruthless contract killers. His criminal career spanned over 3 decades, during which he claimed to have murdered more than 100 people, many of them in cold blood for the Mafia. Born on April 11, 1935 in Jersey City, New Jersey, Kuklinski's early life was marked by severe abuse at the hands of his father and neglect from his mother. This tumultuous upbringing likely contributed to his developing a callous and violent nature. By his teenage years, Kuklinski had already committed his first murder, beating a neighborhood bully to death and disposing of the body. Kuklinski's reputation for violence caught the attention of local crime families. By the 1970s, he was working as a contract killer for several mafia families, including the Gambinos, the De Cavalcantes, and the Lucchese's. He earned his nickname, the Iceman, because of his method of freezing his victims' bodies to obscure the time of death, a tactic that baffled law enforcement for years. One of Kuklinski's most infamous methods involved using cyanide. He would either spray it directly into his victims' faces or poison their food and drink. This method was particularly effective, as it often left little trace of foul play, making many of his murders appear as accidental deaths or natural causes. Despite his violent profession, Kuklinski managed to maintain a double life. He married Barbara Pedrici in 1961 and had 3 children. To his family, he was a loving husband and father, providing for them through what he claimed were legitimate business ventures. However, his brutal secret life eventually began to unravel. In the 1980s, law enforcement agencies started to close in on Kuklinski. The New Jersey State Police and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, launched an investigation using an undercover agent named Dominic Polifrone to gather evidence. Polifrone posed as a fellow hitman, gaining Kuklinski's trust and recording their conversations. In 1986, Kuklinski was arrested and charged with 5 murders, although he was suspected of many more. During his trial, the prosecution presented overwhelming evidence, including Polifrone's recordings, which captured Kuklinski discussing his methods and boasting about his kills. He was convicted and sentenced to multiple life terms in prison. While incarcerated, Kuklinski participated in several interviews, providing chilling insights into his life as a contract killer. He admitted to having no remorse for his actions, describing his murders with a detached and cold demeanor. His confessions revealed a man who thrived on violence and power, deriving a perverse satisfaction from his crimes. Richard Kuklinski died in prison on March 5, 2006. His legacy is one of terror and brutality, a stark reminder of the depths of human cruelty. The story of the Iceman continues to fascinate and horrify, illustrating the dark world of organized crime and the cold-blooded killers who operate within it. Story 2. The Horrors of the Toy Box Killer. David Parker Ray, known as the Toy Box Killer, orchestrated a reign of terror in New Mexico during the 1990s. His crimes involved the kidnapping, torture, and murder of numerous women in a specially designed torture chamber he called his Toy Box. Born on November 6, 1939, in Belen, New Mexico, Ray's early life was troubled. He experienced neglect and abuse from his father, and his teenage years were marked by antisocial behavior and a fascination with sadomasochistic pornography. These early influences shaped Ray's perverse desires, which he would later act upon with horrifying results. Ray's Toy Box was a soundproofed trailer equipped with various torture devices, including whips, chains, pulleys, straps, clamps, and surgical blades. The walls were adorned with diagrams illustrating various methods of inflicting pain and controlling victims. Ray meticulously recorded his torture sessions on audio and videotape, relishing in the suffering of his captives. Ray's modus operandi involved abducting women, often with the help of accomplices, including his girlfriend Cindy Hendy and his daughter Glenda Jessie Ray. They would drug the victims, transport them to the toy box, and subject them to prolonged periods of torture and sexual assault. Ray would often brainwash his victims using audio recordings in which he described the tortures they would endure, attempting to erase their memories of the events before releasing them. The full extent of Ray's crimes might never have been known if not for the escape of one of his victims, Cynthia Vigil, in March 1999. Vigil managed to free herself from her restraints while Ray was at work and Hendy was distracted. She fled naked and in chains to a nearby house where she called the police. Her harrowing account led to Ray's arrest and the subsequent investigation. The investigation revealed the nightmarish setup inside the toy box and uncovered evidence linking Ray to multiple abductions and murders. Despite the overwhelming evidence, the exact number of Ray's victims remains unknown, as many were released after being drugged and subjected to memory-erasing techniques. During his trial, Ray maintained his innocence, claiming that the acts were consensual role-playing. However, the evidence, including the testimony of surviving victims, led to his conviction. Ray was sentenced to 224 years in prison for kidnapping and torture. He died of a heart attack in 2002 while serving his sentence. David Parker Ray's crimes shocked and horrified the nation, revealing the depths of human depravity. The story of the Toy Box Killer serves as a grim reminder of the existence of true evil and the importance of vigilance in protecting vulnerable individuals from such predators.